Hi, everyone, and welcome back to From the Book Nook. I'm Chris, and I'm here with Jessica. Today, we're diving into How to Know a Person, The Art of Seeing Others Deeply and Being Deeply Seen by David Brooks. This book is one of the latest New York Times bestsellers, and it's all about the power of connection and empathy. Jessica, how did this one hit you?
Hey, Chris, I loved it. David Brooks always has this unique way of blending psychology, philosophy, and personal reflection into something both thought-provoking and practical. What stood out to me most was how he emphasized that truly knowing another person takes time, attention, and vulnerability. It's not just about asking the right questions, but really listening with an open heart. What about you?
I totally agree. One of the early sections hit me hard. It's where Brooks talks about how we often skim the surface in conversations and relationships. We ask how someone is doing, but we rarely stop to listen deeply to their answer. He argues that truly knowing someone means getting past the small talk and being present for the messy, complicated parts of who they are.
Exactly. He calls that the moral act of paying attention. It's such a simple but powerful reminder in today's fast-paced world. Everyone's busy, distracted by phones and deadlines, but Brooks invites us to slow down and be intentional. Did you catch his story about the teacher who changed his life?
Yes, that story was incredible. For those of you listening, Brooks shares a deeply personal memory about a teacher who saw something in him that no one else did at the time. It's a perfect example of how one person's focused attention can transform someone's life. It made me think about those moments in my life where someone really took the time to know me, and it left a mark.
Same here. That theme of being seen and heard is such a thread throughout the book. It's not just about receiving it. It's also about offering that same gift to others. There's this part where he describes radical empathy as a superpower we can develop. I thought that was inspiring, but also a little intimidating. Radical empathy isn't easy, right?
No, it's definitely not. He talks about it in terms of stepping completely into another person's world and holding space for their experiences without judgment. It takes practice. One of my favorite parts was when he broke it down into steps, like how to ask open-ended questions, mirror someone's feelings, and stay curious rather than rushing to offer advice or solutions.
Yes. And it's not just about empathy on a one-on-one level. He also dives into the bigger picture, how truly knowing and connecting with others can heal communities and even bridge political and cultural divides. That felt particularly relevant right now.
Absolutely. We live in a world that feels more divided than ever, but Brooks is hopeful. He believes that if we learn how to know and understand each other better, we can rebuild some of that lost trust and connection. There's a part where he talks about the role of storytelling in this process, how sharing our personal stories helps to break down barriers. I thought that was spot on.
That section was so powerful, and the stories he shares throughout the book are what really bring his ideas to life. It's not just theory, it's real-life examples of people who've mastered the art of deep listening and made a difference because of it. I found myself underlining so many passages and thinking, I need to try this.
Me too, and I love that he doesn't present this as some sort of unattainable goal. He makes it clear that being a better listener, a more attentive friend, or a more compassionate leader is something we can all work on every day. Small, consistent actions can make a big impact.
Exactly. And speaking of leadership, I think the book has a lot to offer for anyone in leadership roles, teachers, managers, community leaders. It's a reminder that leadership isn't just about being effective at your job. It's also about how well you connect with and understand the people around you. Chris, did you have any takeaways on how this applies to work?
Oh, definitely. I kept thinking about how this could transform workplace culture. Imagine if every leader committed to knowing their team members on a deeper level, not just their skills and performance, but their hopes, challenges, and stories. That could be a game changer for team morale and productivity.
Totally. I also appreciated how Brooks brought a lot of humility to the book. He openly admits the times he's failed to truly know people in his own life. It's refreshing when an author is willing to be vulnerable like that.
Yes, his honesty makes the whole book feel more relatable. There's no, I have it all figured out vibe. Instead, it's more like, here's what I've learned and I'm still working on it. That makes it easier for readers to connect and apply his advice to their own lives.
For sure, it felt more like a conversation with a wise friend than a lecture. So, what did you think of the book's pacing and structure? I liked how it was broken up into manageable sections, each focusing on a different aspect of connection and empathy.
I thought the structure worked really well. Each section builds on the last, and it's packed with practical tips without being overwhelming. He balances the personal stories, research, and advice beautifully. And the chapters aren't too long, which makes it an easy read.
Yes, and it's the kind of book you can pick up again and again. I can see myself revisiting it whenever I feel like I'm getting stuck in shallow interactions or need a reminder to be more present.
Same here. It's one of those books that will stay on my shelf for a long time. So, if you're listening and wondering whether How to Know a Person is for you, if you care about building deeper relationships, becoming a better listener, or just understanding people more fully, this book is absolutely worth your time.
I couldn't have said it better. Well, that's all for today's episode of From the Book Nook. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've read How to Know a Person, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment or message us on social media. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast with your fellow book lovers.
Thanks again, everyone. Until next time, happy reading.